Beyond bent. Janssen! And Blackburn Rovers are 18 minutes away from a Premiership return.
As far as Stewart, just outside the penalty area, clips it central for David Dunn. David Dunn equalises. It just had to be. Dax corner and it goes. Glance towards goal, and Rovers have taken the lead. And Charlie Mulgrew has scored his 14th of the season.
Hello and happy Friday to Rovers fans all around the world as we are doing a live match preview tonight for Rovers game away at Cardiff City tomorrow afternoon. Tom, you're here tonight, mate. Really good to have you on. You're a bit of royalty on Rovers Chat, 1875 podcast host and veteran of Rovers Chat. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Looking forward to getting tomorrow, to be honest with you.
Yes, and on the topic of tomorrow's game, we are doing a watch-along tomorrow, so check out this little snippy video that we've done. Love that from Joe. Joe loves those graphics, doesn't he? But on a serious note, for one time only, 2/3 of the gang are back together. Luke and I are going to be joining Jared on the watch-along for tomorrow's game. Jared has done a cracking job all season. I've been at most of the games. Jared's been doing the watch-along, so it's going to be a delight to join Jared and watch that game. So 12:30 kickoff tomorrow. So come and join us from about 12 p.m. on that watch-along. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please hit that subscribe button. Please give this video a big like for us and turn on all notifications with that bell icon because we are pushing content out left, right and centre at the moment with transfers galore, transfer rumours galore, all the match preview content and everything else that we usually do. So the only way to stay up to date is turning on that bell icon. Big shout out to 6yardsout.com and Blue Rose Capital for their very kind sponsorship, and Super Chat is available as it always is. I'll just say hello to everyone in the comments. Naive Steve, Joshua, El Scotty and Ryan. Good evening to you all. Thanks for coming along. And Steve pointing out there that John Suter has signed a pre-contract with Rangers as well. So he was rumoured with Rovers. Go and check out what Ollie and Dan have been saying about all of those through our different videos. And Ryan, sorry to hear that, mate, that you've got COVID. I hope you're doing well. 7:30 a.m. in your country, you'll still be there for my Rovers. Good on you, Ryan. So, Tom, that's all the waffle at the beginning sorted. So we'll start where I always do with Dan on these previews. It's just a reflection of what went before. So last league game was 12 days ago. The Huddersfield home game was the last time we played in the league. That was a 0-0 draw. Obviously, between that game and now, out of the FA Cup against Wigan last Saturday. So what did you make of that Wigan defeat?
I've not read too much into it, to be quite honest with you. Ainsley Pears did a huge favour when he came in for Kaminsky a bit earlier on in the season. Didn't do particularly well against Wigan, did he? I would argue that all 3 goals should have been saved and he should have been better with them. It's one of them. I know people say concentrate on the league, and I think it's important to look at it like that. You do concentrate on the league, but it would have been nice as well to have maybe gone on a little bit of a run. If anything, just to keep that momentum going, ride that wave of momentum. Because it's really easy to go into a habit of losing. We can see how we can pick up winning habits really easily. We did it for 5 games. Losing, though, it's the exact same. We've seen it with Mowbray before, where you lose one, and especially around this time of year, I think it tends to be beginning of the year, where we end up going on some ridiculous losing streak. So fingers crossed, it's nothing like that. But at the moment, I'm not reading too much into it. I'm accepting that with Thomas Kaminsky in goal, I think we probably win that game.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Kaminsky does save those shots. And do you know what? I'm gutted for Ainsley Pears because he did do really well when Kaminsky was away and it kind of rebuilt everyone's confidence in him. But, you know, they were absolute clangers. You know, as a championship level goalkeeper, you've got to be saving those. So it's a real shame to see him do that. And
especially as well, it's think it's basic stuff. You come to collect a ball, it's bread and butter for every single goalkeeper. If you're not going to catch it, punch it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think he was under that much pressure either. It seemed like he just a complete brain fart and has dropped it in his own goal. And I feel sorry for the guy. Like if he comes back into the team, because Kaminsky gets injured again, 100% I'll support him. But his confidence is going to be shot, obviously. So hopefully he can pick himself up. But I think it shows how important Kaminsky is to us.
I think this draw that we got, Wigan away, I just think it was, in many respects, probably the worst draw that we could have got. Because I think Mowbray might have liked, a Premier League side away from home, or not a local rival where if you lose the game, there's no kind of fanfare about it. But I just think the whole circumstances, he was kind of forced, wasn't he, into playing a bit of a 75% strong side, because 3,000, 4,000 fans had gone to the DW Stadium. So he owed the fans a performance. I think had it not been Wigan, let's say it was another League One side away from home, I think that side was probably going to be a lot weaker. But I think he was just forced into it a little bit, wasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. I think, and as well, recent history with Wigan, there seems to be this little rivalry. I don't like Wigan at all. I don't know why. It's not that there's any rivalry there. They wind me up, the fans. I think the stuff with Dak, and obviously, I don't know how true as I wasn't at the game, but Power apparently commenting on Dak's injury. I think it just lacks any form of just taste.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's true. It could just be people mishearing things. I'd like to think they wouldn't say something like that. But like you say, with Wigan, recent history, Mowbray's hand was forced where he couldn't particularly rest too many players. Maybe he didn't want to as well, but I know what you mean. It's a draw where you're thinking we could rest players, but you'd want to be able to give the travelling fans, something to cheer about.
That's it. Well, El Scotty's landed on the reason we lost anyway, and he says it's that red and black kit which is being beautifully modelled by Tom Schofield and Jan-Paul van Hecker there. So it is a curse, isn't it? I think I saw something on Twitter the other day that the record in the yellow kit, I think it's 3 or 4 wins, and I think the red and black is the complete opposite. So let's hope that we are in a yellow kit tomorrow away at Cardiff. We should be. But you never know. We may go red and black, but maybe it'll be yellow. And just to pick up a comment that we've had, I've lost it. I'm going number blind or whatever you want to call it. There was a comment about Ryan Nyambe and who's going to play right back. That was it. It was Steve. Who's going to play right back versus Cardiff? There we go. Nyambe should be back, Steve. He's back in contention, back in training. So I would expect it to be Nyambe. You'll see what Tom and I have done with our side in a little while. So... there we go. And Dan, the voice from above, has told me the record. So it's 3 wins, 3 draws, 1 defeat in the yellow kit, 0 wins, 0 draws, and 3 defeats in the red and black kit. So, Tom, get that shirt off.
You definitely don't see that though. Like, I'd take this off and PG in it. So, but it wouldn't be a nice pretty sight at all.
Oh, love it. So, enough of talking about the last game. And as you say, Tom, it is a cliche to say being able to focus on the league. So let's talk about Cardiff instead. Struggling a little bit this season. I was really surprised to see them down there in the way that they are. And 2 of the 4 sides below them have had a points deduction this season as well. So there's only 4 below them. And as I say, 2 of them have. They've conceded the second most goals as well. And we obviously battered them 5-1 in September too. So are you surprised to see them down there and struggling in the way that they are?
Not after I saw them against us. I think they were dire. It was just defensive mistake after defensive mistake. Them and Peterborough stood out this season. They've just defensively been all over the place. Cardiff probably worse. And that's saying because Peterborough were dire as well. But after that performance, no. I mean, obviously they sacked McCarthy, didn't they? But it's not really seeing any change in the fortunes. So I'm not really shocked after. But I'm basing that solely off what I've seen of them at Ewood. That's how bad they were. Would I have them so low down if I was in a pre-season prediction 6 months ago? Probably not. I think that's because you expect them to be around mid-table to the playoffs, because I think they've consistently, or in my mind at least, they've consistently done that for quite a while, with not any danger. But this season, like the 20th at the moment, there's no reason that they can't find themselves in the relegation battle. in about 3 months' time. So they need to pull the finger out. So they'll be obviously desperate to perform against us and take out the informed team in the league.
Yeah, definitely. And I said to Tom on the other side on Wednesday that this would be a poor season to go down if you're Cardiff, when you've got two sides that have had a points deduction. And, you know, the consensus was that the three sides coming up from League One were fairly average. So it would be a desperately bad season to go down. I think the thing that surprises me with Cardiff, Tom, is the goals conceded, because I always associate Cardiff with being defensively tight and defensively strong. And as I say, they're only second to Peterborough, who leak goals for fun. So that's the thing that shocked me. You know, when you've got Sean Morrison and Aidan Flint and players like that, you just expect them to be a bit stronger, don't you? So we've got to try and take advantage of that tomorrow, haven't we?
100%. And when you look at the goals that we've scored, I mean, I think we're the top for shots on target that have led to goals. So we are clinical. Which is good to see, because last season we were quite the opposite. So that change has been fantastic to see. And when you're coming up a team that does league goals for fun, it's important that when you're one of the sides that are the top scorers in the division, that you then put them to the sword. That's not to say it's going to be easy, because like I said, those players you've mentioned are top quality players. And I agree with you. I think back to, and we're talking a long time ago now, like 8 or 9 years, but obviously the Cardiff side, they got promoted under Malky Mackay, was born out of 1-0s, and then they had obviously Warnock when they got promoted again, and it was born out of keeping those clean sheets and scoring 1 or 2 goals. So I think you're right in saying seeing them be so leaky defensively is a bit of a shock. And hopefully, given our players, Cadra, Brereton, Buckley, Rothwell, we'll be able to put them to the sword. I think it's a good game for us to get back into the league for. I say that now, maybe I won't do it tomorrow. It's a good game to come back to with the league, and hopefully 3 points.
So the game's obviously behind closed doors, as we've mentioned, and you know the Cardiff City Stadium does have a reputation of being loud and teams being, it being difficult to go and beat Cardiff there. This is actually their first league game without any fans because of COVID postponements, but they did beat Preston 2-1 in the cup last weekend. So what do you think that'll do to the contest? No fans being there and it being completely behind closed doors for both sets of players.
I think it could do a favour for Cardiff, if anything. Obviously, their fans aren't going to be happy about where they are in the league. You've got a team in third position coming to them, and an early goal, for example, from us, fans could get in the back, heads down. I guess it gives them that the pressure that is there is almost gone. I think one thing this season that's helped our players is that even after the 7-0 run into Fulham, obviously at the start of our resurgence, that game against Sheffield United, the fans were still there, and we weren't getting on the backs, and it could have been easy to after the early goal. Kept them going. I don't know the Cardiff situation, to be honest with you, but I can imagine if we were in 20 position, that wouldn't be the case. We'd be getting on the players' backs, and that doesn't help. So maybe without them there, it could alleviate some pressure. On the flip side, we haven't got any fans there. The away fans that have been fantastic to see, to suck the ball into the goal if you want to act as that 12th man. I guess it's unknown, though. I know that we've had a season of football behind closed doors, a season and a half, really, of football behind closed doors. But I think it's still unknown, because I think players have got used to getting back to playing with crowds now. Yeah. It's the first time that it's happened this season, I think, in English football. Maybe there's 1 or 2 other games. But yeah, I'm going to say that it's going to help them, just because the fans aren't going to be there to get on the backs. Maybe take some of that pressure away. And unfortunately, we won't have our fans to suck that ball into the goal.
Well, the last 2 have obviously been behind closed doors because of the pandemic, as you say, and 2 eventful games. So we had the 3-2 win a couple of seasons ago with the Armstrong belter from near the halfway line. And then last season was the 2-2 draw where Armstrong got a stoppage time equaliser in that game. So 2 entertaining games. We're actually unbeaten in 6 games against Cardiff as well, which is a little thing I found earlier. 2 wins and 4 draws. So are you expecting another entertaining game, or do you think it'll be what you said there? Actually, the players have got used to fans, so actually might make it a bit of a boring game because it's behind closed doors?
I think it'll be cagey. I think they're going to be scared of conceding. They won't want to bomb forward, because I think they know in that point on the transition we're ridiculously good. We get that ball and our counter attack is unbelievable. You've seen us punish so many teams with it this season. So I'd be surprised if they come out all guns blazing trying to attack us. I wouldn't be surprised if they sat back behind the ball, similar to how Huddersfield did.
Yeah.
where they're very organised. I guess then it comes down to whether or not we can break them down. I would have confidence in us doing that. Like we said, defensively, they're not the best, despite the players they've got at the disposal. And with the form that the likes of Burton, Cadra, and Rothwell are in, you'd like to think we've got enough. So I think one of those games that will draw. I think the first half's going to be quite cagey. The onus is going to be on us to make that first move and score that first goal. And if not, I think Cardiff will still grow into the game. So it'll be one that I think maybe we'll start off a little boring. But as the minutes progress and the time goes on, it'll spring into life, and all of a sudden there'll be about 3 goals in 10 minutes.
So in terms of Cardiff, Morrison has stabilised them a bit recently. They were 8 defeats in a row under McCarthy before he got sacked, and they're on to 3 defeats in 11 now, 4 wins in that time as well. So Morrison has stabilised them a little bit. Big plus for Rovers is that Kiefer Moore is unavailable. He's tested positive for COVID, but Dan flashed his image up earlier. Our nemesis, Will Vaulks, is there. He seems to score all the time against Rovers. He scored for Rotherham against us, I think, and he scored a couple for Cardiff in the last 2 games at the Cardiff City Stadium. So he's a man I'm fearing, Tom. Is there anyone that you're fearing from a Cardiff perspective tomorrow?
Honestly, no. I know that sounds like I'm very confident at the moment. We were speaking, weren't we, in our Rovers chat, if you will, about how confident we were at the moment. And maybe it's misplaced because the run's going to come to an end eventually. But I'm not going into games fearing anyone. There's players like Volks that obviously always ends up coming back to bite us, and we need to be careful of him. But the fact they've not got Kiefer Moore, like you say, is a huge plus. I really like Kiefer Moore. I think he's a very good striker with the Championship. I'm surprised that a couple of clubs towards the top end have been circling around him in January, given Cardiff's position, but it's a tough time to buy, isn't it? So I really like him. So it's good that he's not playing. He's the only one that I would have said I'm a little bit concerned, but I don't have much fear going into these games. And maybe it is misplaced, and maybe tomorrow it happens that we concede 3 or 4 and we get absolutely dicked. Sorry, smashed. But it's... Yeah, I'm just not scared. I'm really, really confident.
And I think you're right to have that confidence. Where Cardiff are strong this season, they've got 12 goals from set pieces, which is the most in the Championship. And unsurprisingly, Aidan Flint, Sean Morrison and Mark McGuinness, defenders, have got 4, 3 and 3 goals each. We've got 3 out of 4 defenders who are going to start the game. Van Hecker, Ayala, Lenihan or Wharton. You'd fancy him to deal with that. So I think you're not misplaced having no fear, Tom, in that regard, particularly with Kiefer Moore out. But I'm a superstitious fan, so people like Will Vaulks weirdly just make me nervous because he always seems to do it.
It was like Emil Heskey, wasn't it? Even Emil Heskey was brilliant in his heyday, but when he was at Bolton, he wasn't very good, and he still scored against us all the time. So there's those players on that just seem to relish playing against other clubs, and unfortunately, he's one of them that just loves playing against us.
That's it. So let's move on to talk Rovers then, Tom. Good news coming out of Tony Mowbray's mouth this week. The injuries look to be extremely positive. So the 4 that were doubts, Lenihan and Gallagher both came off against Wigan. Scott Wharton with his COVID case, and then Ryan Nyambi, who had the tight hamstring / transfer rumours, shall we put it down to that one, all in contention. We've spoken many a time this season on Rovers Chat across all our stuff about the benefits of a settled side, but even more so, how important is it for us to have the skipper Lenihan back on Saturday?
It's massive. That the stats don't lie, do they? I'm not too sure of them. I don't know if you know, because I don't. But the stats of us winning games when he's in the side are unbelievable. This season has really come on as well. I think we've never given criticism and use him as a scapegoat. I think at times we can be questioned whether or not he's that good, if that makes sense. Not necessarily on social media, but at times I've seen it, especially on the terraces at Ewood, people have questioned him, saying, is he as good as what we think he is? And this season, he's been absolutely tremendous. He's an absolute giant at the back. He's a rock. He's the skipper. Everyone seems to listen to him. He's vocal. He's loud. Everything you want in a captain. I like my captains being centre half. Don't know why. I just think they get to see the entire game. So it's good to have. And he's the embodiment of what you want as a Rovers player, I think, at the moment. Really good. Just need him to sign a contract, don't we? Desperate for it.
He's the one that I want to sign a new contract. And you're right, he's absolutely grown into a colossus for us this season. And last season, I was fairly critical of him, wanting those leaders' performances. And, I didn't see many of them last season. And I always remember the Brentford away game where it was Ayala putting in the leaders' performance in that game that we drew 2-2. But Lenihan this season has just been an absolute monster. I'm loving that position that he's got as the right-sided centre-back where he can come forward with the ball a bit. And when we did the John Buckley podcast as well, Buckley mentioned that he holds everyone to account in that dressing room. The standards are very high. And, when you have got a very settled squad, I'm sure that Lenihan is keeping those standards high. He's saying to the likes of Cadra and Buckley and Rothwell and players like that, look, there's players on this bench that will take your place if those standards aren't high. And I think that's what we're seeing from Lenihan. And just in terms of, a settled side, Tom, I think it's really important to mention that only one of that settled back five that we've had previously finished the game on Saturday against Wigan. And we conceded as many goals in one game as we had in the previous 9. So the only player that finished the game was Van Hecker. Pickering, Lenihan, Nyambe and Wharton all obviously weren't there on Saturday against Wigan, or indeed didn't finish the game. So that just stresses how important it is for us to have that settled back five, isn't it?
Yeah, massively. I think, like I said, those numbers speak for themselves. The fact that we only had one of them on the pitch come full time at Wigan and we conceded 3 was, like I said, it's telling. It is also a bit of a worry. You do get a bit concerned that, well, if you get a couple of injuries at centre half, what do you do? We saw how bad it was at Blackpool when we had some defensive injuries. McGlure at right back, obviously not fantastic. So you're right in saying that it shows how important those 5 are. Unfortunately, obviously Pickering's going to be out for a while, so that's a bit of a blow. But yeah, they're vitally important, and as long as we can keep the majority of that 5 together, I'm happy enough with Eden, to be honest. I'm happy with him coming in. I think that's why one of the reasons I'm so confident, because I look at them, I think you've got Lenihan, who, like you say, is that colossus at the back. Van Heck is the same. Wharton, who adds a bit of panache, if you will, to the proceedings, just has that ability to move the ball and play with the ball.
Yeah, it's the balance for me. With that back 3, when you've got Wharton on the left, Lenihan on the right, Van Hecker or Ayala in the middle, I just think it looks really balanced. And Steve segued me nicely into the other thing I was going to mention as well. So Steve has said Rovers have looked really bad this season when we've had a makeshift right back. Nyambe has to start. And yeah, we've seen that, haven't we, Steve? And just on that note, we should mention that the signing has gone through now of Deofazio Zefuk. I'm hoping that's how you say his name. Someone will correct me, but we've completed that signing now. So he will add, certainly in the short term, competition for Ryan Nyambe at right back or right wing back. Let's see what happens to Ryan Nyambe. And very, very strong rumours of Dylan Markande as well. Highly rated Spurs youngster. Looks like we're going to get him on a permanent deal as well. So Tom, those two coming in, or certainly it looks like Markande's coming in, plus Joe Rankin Costello and Bradley Dack coming back. So how important is this competition in the squad to just keep driving them forward to achieve that playoff spot?
Yeah, massively so. You look at Nyambe, who's an absolute class going back, but not necessarily very good going forward. I think we can all accept that. We can all say that going forward, he's not necessarily suited perfectly to that right wing back role. He's fine, but he's not perfect. Zefuk, I'm not too sure either. I've seen a video and he seems absolutely fantastic. I know Andy did his chart as well, which suggests that he's very good. However, Arthur Berlin fans have not necessarily been too sad about him leaving. I think they've not been overly impressed. But he seems like a solid signing. Seems like competition for Nyambe. And if anything, he said to Nyambe, look, if you're not going to sign the contract, goodbye. We won't be held to ransom by your agent. We've got someone in ready to take your position. Should he perform at the expectations we set him. The Tottenham lad, I'm not going to try and pronounce his name. It's a lot easier than giving it credit, but it looks confusing. So I'll leave it. I don't want to make an idiot of myself. So I'm very, very sorry. I don't know much about him again, but this when Joe and Andy are excited about players, I get excited. Both of them put a lot of work into the stats. And I've been the biggest skeptic of stats, and they know that. We've had conversations about it in the past. But they know the stuff, and they're aware of what makes a good player and why someone's a good player. And when they're excited about a player, that gets me excited automatically. So dead happy with that. And like I say, Frank Costello coming back adds even further competition, both at the back as the right wing back, and also going further forward where I'd like to see him play.
Yeah.
That's the final word on my main man, Bradley. He's the best player at this football club. I've been saying this for a couple I said it last season when Armstrong were banging them in. I'm saying it this season when Brereton's banging them in. A fully fit Bradley Dack is the best player at this football club. Hopefully he can get back to those levels because I think he's a bit of a secret weapon, really, to be honest with you. People have forgotten how good he is. I think I didn't go to Huddersfield game because I was working. My dad said it was the sort of game where you wanted one of those signature Bradley Dack runs, making late into the box, where he gets on the end of something that's a loose ball. And that's one thing we do lack a little bit, I think, without him in the side. So bringing him on as a super sub to start off with it's a blessing, isn't it, really?
And that's the role I think we'll see from him this season, because he's not starting over John Buckley for me, but it's the John Buckley position where you're thinking that's where Bradley Dack fits into this formation. What a sub to bring on. And you're absolutely right. That Huddersfield game, I think it was a little half chance. Eden got down the left-hand side into the box and it just came across the 6-yard line. It was, I think Gallagher and Dolan, maybe between them, just fumbled it a bit. And you just think Bradley Dack probably sticks that away and it turns a 0-0 into a 1-0, doesn't it? So you're absolutely right to highlight that. I just want to do a round of applause for Naive Steve in the comments. I mean, Deo, 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 come, but he's only on loan. What a chant, Steve. You get an absolute round of applause for that. And second place goes to Stephen Bennett. Are Cardiff going to spring a leak in defence? Love the little one-liners, Stephen. So I'm all over that. So Stephen, love that. Making us chuckle on a Friday evening. So, Tom, let's go into the Rovers side then. We have agreed our 11, and Dan and I have found this really easy this season just to predict the starting 11 because it picks itself, doesn't it? So we're going to flash that up now for what you and I have agreed in that 5-3-2 formation. Obviously, you mentioned earlier the big change. David Raya's in goal, apparently, but we'll just gloss over that one. Thomas Kaminski's in goal. There we go. Teo Edun at left wing back. Tom, are you got any concerns about Edun at left wing back compared to Harry Pickering there? You know, what's your thoughts?
We've not seen much of Edun at left wing back, really, have we? There's been fits and flashes, but he seems to have played more of midfielder, and I've quite liked him in that role. He came on against Blackpool, and obviously we didn't win, but he added something more to the game. So I was happy with that. I'm fairly confident he'll do okay. He's got that solid 3 at this thing. The good thing about that 5-3-2 is that obviously you've got the covering man. If he finds himself out of position, it's not a perfect situation, obviously, but you do have the man that can cover. So if he does have a lapse, then I'm confident that we'll be able to deal with it. But no, I've not got many concerns, really. I like the look of him. I think he's a very, very good backup to have. When you compare it to the right-hand side, until today with Nyambit, there was no one really that you could come in and be confident would do a job. With him, I'm thinking, I'm happy with him coming in and doing a job.
I really like Edun. I thought he was a little bit unlucky to lose his place in the side when he did. Probably a bit similar to when Pears did when Kaminski came back. But, you know, Pickering's first choice left back and Kaminski's first choice keeper. So it's a bit similar because Edun didn't really put a foot wrong. And I think what we're going to see with Edun, he's probably going to be a bit more attacking than Harry Pickering. I think he's naturally one that likes to get forward. And not saying that Pickering isn't, because he did that at Crewe a lot. But I think Mowbray has very much coached Pickering this season to be defensively strong at left back, and he is. I think Edun's going to have to find a little bit of discipline, because defensively, I'd say Harry Pickering's probably a little bit better than Edun. But if we can use him going down that left-hand side to be a bit of an attacking force, then, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing him there. And obviously, Pickering should be back in 4 to 6 weeks. So if we flash the side up again and forget that David Raya's in goal, it really is Thomas Kaminski. The rest of the side is really picking itself, isn't it, Tom? Ryan Nyambi back at right wing back, that midfield 3 that just complement each other so well. I guess the only decision was up top, who's accompanying Brereton Diaz, and we've gone for Reda Kadra. You know, we got the goal against Wigan. He's not putting a foot wrong at the minute, is he? So he's saying to Gallagher and Dolan, nick my spot.
Well, definitely, and I think obviously Dolan was the man, wasn't he? We love him because of the whole pressing thing. How he's obviously they let him go and he's come to us and become a real good player. But Cardiff's come in and made that spot his own. I can't remember why Dolan was dropped now. It's gone. I honestly can't remember. I don't know if it was for performances or what, because I don't remember him putting in any particular terrible performances. For whatever reason, he found himself at the side, and Cadra's come in and just shown why that's the case. Shows why I'm not a football manager. Because for me, until he had this run, I was picking Dolan all day long. But he's quick and he presses as well. I like his work rate. He's not lazy. It's easy for players to come and be lazy. I think especially in Premier clubs, he's not. He's the exact opposite, which is brilliant to see. I'm really happy with him and Van Hecker staying beyond January. Obviously, that's been confirmed, hasn't it? So that's good news, and that'll really just add to the good feeling around the place.
It's smashing news for us because, yeah, there was a little fear there that they would recall Van Hecker in particular, you know, if they were having defensive issues because of COVID and everything like that. But brilliant news for us that that those two are staying in. Absolutely, with Khadra, Tom, what you've said there, you know, the work rate's phenomenal. And just the goal he scored against Wigan, he's just got that ability to pick the ball up, run with it. And then, you know, he's got a brilliant shot on him. You know, he can score from outside the box. And that's where I think he's certainly stronger than Dolan. Although Dolan did score a cracking goal. I can't remember who it was from outside the box earlier in the season. You know, he's got a great shot on him in Khadra. And I don't think we score enough goals from outside of the box, actually. I want to see more of our players having a pop from out there. So Khadra does that. If he gets the opportunity, he's banging it in. And yeah, he's rightly in our side. So let us know what you think, Rovers fans, about mine and Tom's side that we've picked there. Just forget about David Raya. It does say Thomas Kaminski, I promise you. Is that the side that you would be going for? Or are you picking Dolan or Gallagher up top, for example, with Brereton Diaz? Are you making a case for Daniel Ayala? Let us know what you think in the comments. Tom, final order of business then is a match prediction. How do you think the game's going to go, and what's your score prediction?
Definitely Rovers win.
By the way, Dan smashed it this season with the predictions, so you got big shoes.
That's the thing. It's a big pressure, isn't it? No, I'm going to go 2-0 Rovers. I'm quite confident. I think that having that back five, or obviously 4 of those 5 back together is going to be a massive thing, and I'm confident that we're going to put that Wigan result behind us and say let's carry on this league form. And we've got to as well. I know that people are saying probably automatic is maybe a step too far, but at the moment, why not keep aspiring to it? That draw against Huddersfield was a bit of a setback. It's obviously meant that we've fallen out the top 2. How weird is it to say that? But I think we can continue to put pressure on them, and I'm very confident of a 2-0 win.
You're going 2-0. I'm going 2-1, just because I think Will Volks is going to score. Like, that's it. I'm telling you, he's going to score. 2-1 Rovers. I think you're absolutely right, Tom. I think the settled side, those injuries that are coming back for us, Lenihan being back in the side, Nyambi at right wing back, all these things are just absolute big pluses for me. That side is picking itself at the moment. And when a side is picking itself in terms of the starting 11, you have got a bench which is hungry and wanting to make a difference when they come on. And that is always a positive as well. You're going to have the likes of Dan Butterworth, Tyrese Dolan, Sam Gallagher, Jacob Davenport, Bradley Johnson, Daniel Ayala, all absolutely chomping at the bit when they get on that football pitch. So that's going to be a positive for us this season, because like that Huddersfield game, when it is 0-0 after 70 minutes or it's 1-1 after 80 minutes or whatever, you need your subs to make an impact. And how many times have you seen it with top sides over the years, whether it's Man U all those years ago or other sides more recently? You know, some sides just somehow pluck it out the bag in stoppage time or in the last 5 minutes. And having a hungry bench like that, I think Rovers are going to need that at times this season. We're going to need Dolan to come off the bench and get on the end of something after not being in the side for 8 games or whatever. We're going to need Gallagher to be absolutely rising like a salmon at the back stick. You know, these things, they only happen for me when you've got a hungry bench. If you've got players on the bench that are just a bit disenfranchised or, you know, haven't really been involved and they're not really contributing, I don't think you get that. But that's the thing I think we get with our bench. And when you throw
this as well, isn't there? There's good. It seems like a real good group of lads who are all friends and that sort of thing. They want to do well for each other. So like I said, that hungriness, but also Dolan and Gallagher out sulking that Cadder and Brereton
Absolutely.
playing ahead of them. They're thinking, I want to get back in there, but also really happy for you. And it's good to see it. It feels like that League One side. I bang on about this League One side every single time I'm coming alive. I adored it, and it feels a little bit the same.
Yeah.
Just I love this side, everything about it, the work rate, and maybe it's because we're winning football matches. Maybe it's nothing to do with that, but with winning football matches comes the work rate, comes the quality of play, and comes the everything good about football, isn't it? So yeah.
That's it. They're all fighting for each other, absolutely. And as you say, all happy for each other, even when they're not starting games. And that's what you want. There's a fantastic morale. And you throw Bradley Dack onto that bench and then wowzers. So we've had a few predictions in the comments. Let's see who was first. I think it was Mystic Dan. He's gone 4-1 Rovers. Mystic Dan strikes once more. There we go. He's gone big. 4-1 Rovers, says Dan. Byram has gone 2-0 to Rovers, Cadra and Rothwell. Oh, yeah, we didn't do scorers. What did I say on the other side yesterday? I think I said Diaz and Buckley. I can't remember. Someone call it out. Diaz and Buckley I'm going for. What about you, Tom?
I'm going to go Diaz ×2.
Diaz ×2. So 2-0 Rovers, says Byram. Steve has gone 3-1 Rovers if Nyambi starts. El Scotty 1-0 Rovers. Scrappy game, but I back us to get through it. Yeah, I can see that, El Scotty. I can see that and all. KG's gone a 1-1 draw. T-Shop, I hope I pronounced that right, has gone 3-0 Brio. Brio 2 and Cadra, sorry. And then Steve will pick up this question just before we finish. Would you put Chapman on the bench? Oh, it's got a little star next to it. How did that happen? Would you put Chapman on the bench? I don't think I would, Steve. I think signing players like Markande, and if the rumours are true, Hedges in the summer, or at least on a pre-contract agreement, with the players we've already got in the likes of Dolan, Gallagher, Rankin Costello, probably in an attacking position. Sadly, I think Harry Chapman's time at Rovers is over, and I think that new contract that he signed in the summer, which was strange, probably was just Rovers protecting themselves a little bit and ticking over. I think his time is over now. So why put Chapman on the bench when he's potentially robbing Danny Butterworth's place on the bench? So that's just my view. What do you think, Tom?
No, I agree. It's a shame. Chapman obviously came with a lot of hype, and in that League One team at the start before he got injured, he was a very, very good impact sub and created things. He's really not moved on though, and I think it speaks volumes when you look at, like Mowbray said multiple times, that Harry Chapman's a fantastic footballer, but he needs to learn how to play in this team. He's clearly not learnt that. It's worth noting when he was loaned out, I did think it was slightly harsh. I think he made a couple of decent enough cameo appearances for us at the start of this season, so I was quite surprised when he was loaned out. I thought that he'd probably get a good opportunity to maybe stake a claim similar to Dolan. Obviously hasn't happened. Disappointing for the lad, but he's got talent, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of League One clubs fighting over his signature come the summer.
Absolutely. And Steve, shame about Chapman. Had so much promise. So we'll just finish with 10th Hokidge's prediction. He's gone 2-0 Ben and Dara. Good prediction there. So yeah, and we will say RIP to Shebby Singh. So for those of you that didn't see the news yesterday, Shebby Singh sadly passed away with a heart attack, it appears from the reports. And, he was Rovers' global advisor back in the early days of the Venky's regime, and caught in the middle of some real toxicity at Rovers. And I think all of the testaments and testimonies that I've seen about Shebby Singh, first and foremost, they all say that he was a great human being, and that's what we should all remember him as. And certainly, I saw him once outside Pride Park. He was walking to the game from the train station with all the other fans, and he seemed a really nice bloke. And everything I've seen on Twitter says the same. And obviously, he removed Steve Keane as manager for us. We'll always be grateful for that one. But yeah, rest in peace, Shebby Singh. So, Tom, are you joining us on the watch along tomorrow, or are you working?
I'm unfortunately working. However, I may find myself doing some bits in the office, so we'll see if I can sneak my phone and have a watch.
So for those of you that aren't working, come and join us on the watch along tomorrow. We'll probably finish with the little video at the end of this as well, just as a reminder. So it'll be Jared hosting, as he has been all season, and Luke and I will be joining Jared for a bit of fun on the watch along. Hopefully see the Rovers get the 3 points. Big reminder, it is a 12:30 p.m. kickoff UK time. So don't be caught out thinking it is a 3 p.m. kickoff. It is at 12:30. So come and join us on the watch along. Tom, thank you for joining us tonight, mate. Been great speaking to you tonight. We don't get to do this very often, so it's been nice speaking to you.
As a pair, it's very rare, isn't it? So it's good to sit down and just talk football.
It is rare, so it's been good doing one of these with you. And Rovers fans, thank you for all your interactions. Please subscribe to our channel. Please hit that like button and please turn on all notifications using that bell icon. Big shout out to our sponsors, 6yardsout.com and Blue Rose Capital. And we'll leave you with Joe's video advertising the watch along, followed by our sponsor message. So see you later, everyone.
I've been used sometimes, left alone in the heat of the night. Every time, and it's like a play.
The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.